John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, in love with Aslan, and also some arrow weaving. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
And hold. Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the old green in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows. I also do random of the geeky films. Hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. When I say everyone listening, please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now let's smash right into this episode. Today's episode is a review of Supergirl. No, not the new film that will have come out by the time this releases, but the 1984 film, that is supposed to have connected to the Reeves Superman films. I'm doing this with my friend Brayden. How are you doing, Brayden?
I'm doing good.
This film is a lot.
yeah it's one of those, it's because it's the first female-led comic movie, and unfortunately it's also the first victim of producers not knowing what to do with a female-led comic movie, and it shows in many ways.
Oh yeah, it's there's just so many problems with this film, and I like going into watching this, I didn't have high hopes for it. But I was hoping that I would have an experience similar to when I watched Howard the Duck for the first time, where I'm like, I know this is a film most people consider bad, but I end up enjoying it. Sadly, with this, I did not end up enjoying it. It sadly did not end up going that way, and and it's like, it's so annoying because like there is definitely potential with this film.
Oh yeah. It's one of those things because when I first saw this film, I was a kid, and I was watching them with the other, like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and of course the general consensus with the legacy of the Christopher Reeve Superman films are the first two Superman films are the only good ones. Superman 3 isn't good. Superman 4 is terrible. And then they always say Supergirl's terrible. And I just thought, as a kid, it's because Christopher Reeve's not in it. It's like, no, like the script is a mess. And it was also destroyed in the editing and a bunch of other stuff. It's kind of sad, too, because you can tell the cast is great. Like, the cast are giving great performances, especially Helen Slater and Faye Dunaway as the hero and as the villain. But the story makes no genuine sense. Like, the more you break it down, and like, even when I was showing it to you yesterday, the amount of times where like you were asking me genuine questions, and I'm telling you, I'm like, there is no answer. It's just how the film is. There is no answer.
Yeah. With my history with these Superman and films and this Supergirl film. So yesterday was the first time I ever watched this Supergirl film. I watched the Superman movies as a kid, or at least I think I watched most of them. I honestly don't remember if I ever watched the third one, but but for the longest time, I did not know that this Supergirl film even existed. And also for a long time, I didn't know that Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, I think it's what it's called.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed for a while, and it took even longer before I learned that the Supergirl one existed.
Yeah, this is okay. Like this is kind of one of those. It was buried. These films, really, like when the Christopher Reeve Superman movies play on TV, they only play the first two movies. They never play Superman 3. They never play Superman 4 because everyone hates those films. And with Supergirl, it was very rarely played on TV. and so many people were like people love Helen Slater as an actress, as an icon. She's a DC icon. She's a Supergirl.
Hmm.
People loved her performance. But when people talked about this film, they never talked about it as a good film. They were always like, "Yeah, it's the Black Sheep." And even when Superman Returns was made with Brandon Routh, it being a sequel to the first Christopher Reeve Superman films, the studio deliberately were like, "Oh no, we're ignoring Supergirl too. We're not bringing her in. We're not
Mm.
making any of that canon because we have to.
Yeah.
We're trying to reset some stuff with him."
Yeah, wasn't
And
it both just the first two films were canon to the to Superman Returns?
yeah, yeah, and with Superman Returns, that movie is that movie's a good movie despite some various issues, and
Mm.
Kevin Spacey and the Bryan Singer of it all. It's still a good movie, but unfortunately, one of the biggest issues I have with that film, for me personally, was um, Bryan Singer and Warner Bros. They wanted Jude Law to play General Zod as a reference to Terrence Stamp. He was supposed to show up. Then they got rid of him when Jude Law said no, and then that led to the removal of several action scenes. And even as a kid, when I'm like, but wait a minute, where's Supergirl? Because in my head, I thought surely she'll be in some of these films, and then I kind of realized, oh yeah, Warner Bros. Don't give a damn about her, and they didn't care about her until really a couple of years ago after the TV show blew up, and then
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, let's put her in that Flash movie," and then now in Superman, and obviously now we have the James Gunn produced Supergirl movie about to open up this month.
Oh yeah. It definitely is sad how long it took them to care about the character. Or but happily, at least since then, and like the Supergirl TV show is great, and the upcoming movie looks great as well. The Flash film I have not seen, so I can't say much about how Supergirl is portrayed in that. But Sasha Calle looked like she was good for Supergirl.
Mm. With that film, most people liked Sasha as Kara, while also saying, and I do want to show you the film one day.
Mhm.
Technically speaking, the Kara in the Flash movie is a different version of Kara. Not the look of it, but like basically her personality.
Mhm.
But for the most part, she's still Clark's cousin, and she still gets sent to Earth. Stuff goes wrong, and but I like what Sasha did. I think she's very underrated as an actress, and I would love to see her come back to the
Mhm.
superhero genre, whether it be Marvel, DC, another comic book universe, something. She's a very good actress. Uh, it's kind of interesting because this movie kind of was the last adaptation of pre-crisis Kara. Because right after this movie came out was Crisis on Infinite Earths, the famous book from 1985, and DC requested you got to kill off Kara because her movie was
Mhm.
terrible, and and they were like, we want to reset Superman, so get rid of her. And like this movie is important to the legacy of Supergirl.
Yeah.
Is it a required chapter? I don't think so.
Mhm.
It's just one of those bad comic movies where I'm like some people have no idea how far things have gone. Because when
Yeah.
people think about comic book movies, superhero movies, they think about the last 10 years. They don't realize there was a lot of films that struggled in the last century, and only some
Oh
of them
yeah.
I remember fondly. Whether it be the first two Christopher Reeve Superman films, people who like Burton or Schumacher Batman, uh, TMNT, The Mask, and that's mostly it. The other comic films from also Blade 1998. People love that film. For the most part, there are several comic book films that got forgotten about because unfortunately they failed to work, and Supergirl is a victim of several issues behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Definitely. Oh, like just there's just so much baffling stuff with the film that you're just like it's like where do you even begin with the insanity of this film like it's it's really hard for me to go into a film not expecting it to be great and then not finding much of anything to like about it. Like you've seen on Letterboxd. I rate things a lot higher than most people do.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot for me to be to say this was shit.
Well, yeah, it's really one of the side cases where, um, the cast is good. I think even some of the direction for some of the action is actually pretty solid. Um, the director's horror roots do show in certain scenes. It's just the script really just doesn't make sense. And then like you can,
Mhm.
And I know there were like a lot of issues where they kept rewriting stuff after Christopher Reeve said no, coming back in to play Superman. But there are just some scenes where you're like, this just doesn't work because it
Mhm.
kind of breaks the logic of the universe and also the scene. Like, obviously you and I were talking about this last night. The scene where two guys, they see Kara in a Supergirl outfit, and they're like, "Oh, what are you?" And they go to mess with her. Now,
Yeah.
this is in universe with the Christopher Reeve Superman films. In Superman 2,
Mhm.
now, obviously everyone knows Superman is real. He's a real person with powers. Some of his members of his species, Zod, Ursa, and Nan, they attack the White House and they do a bunch of other bad stuff. People know not to mess with Kryptonians. Now, obviously, if you saw a blonde girl wearing a Superman outfit, you would think, oh, it's just a cosplayer, right? And then she's saying, I'm Superman's cousin. Now, she could be crazy. Then she picks up one of the guys and throws him through a wall. She shows some of her super strength. And yet the guy and his fellow mugger, whatever, still try to intimidate and fight her. And I'm like, she clearly has powers. I
Yeah.
cannot say this. Like, any other criminal would have just got up and left. And then she
Mhm.
uses a puff of wind and then she flies away. And then they realize, oh, it's Kryptonian. But even then, I'm like, no, hold on, no, no. Even criminals, even villains, know when to quit.
Yeah.
This just doesn't make sense. Like, because if they know Superman's real, they know Kryptonians are real. The second she shows any ounce of powers, they just get the fuck up and leave. But the scene keeps going for another 2 minutes, and you're like, this is pointless. Because especially when you realize this adds nothing to the plot. Like when you look at it, this was
Uh,
another problem. The story keeps changing into so many different directions. Whether it be like, oh, Kara has to go fetch this power orb, the Omega Hedron, to save Argo City.
mhm.
She forgets to look for it for like a good 30 minutes. And then
Yeah.
like it's and then she has a tracking device, I guess, but that thing barely works throughout most of the film.
Yeah, and and we have and then we have this weird subplot about her getting a boyfriend who is forced to love her never seeing any issue with that at the
Well,
and then like how well, okay, for a lot of the time she did not know.
yeah, she
To
didn't
be
know.
fair,
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
like and then but then later she gets captured and he's now in love with the villain. I'm like, I don't know how that happened, and then and maybe I was not paying enough attention at that point,
There's a
but
bit of a mess up in the ending, but basically, when Selena sends Kara to the Phantom Zone, only then is she able to mind wipe the boyfriend to like her. But even then, a few scenes
even
later, it's shown
okay,
he's resenting her. It doesn't make any sense.
she sees him right before going to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah,
She sees him kiss her. Or I'm like, what? And then, but then later, but then also, if she's like, I guess redid the spell or something, so that now he's in love with her. Or why is it later he helps Supergirl and seemingly he's in love with her again?
no, that's his problem. There's so many like legitimate plot holes in the writing and in the ending because it just doesn't make. Especially now, it could be one thing if there was deleted scenes, but I'm looking at the film as it's being presented. There are so many times this stuff just do not make sense. Like even
Mm-hmm.
before we get to the whole terrible, rape drug magic wish that Selena does, uh, you're like, wait a minute, you're played by Faye Dunaway, who's an incredibly hot actress, and she was already a sex symbol back then. She can have any man she wants, but she wants the gardener, who clearly just doesn't like her, I guess. So she has to use a magic love spell thing. She could have
Mm-hmm.
anyone she wants, but she's obsessed. She's obsessed with this man over here, and there's no reason. Like, no offense to the guy, to the character, I forget his name, because he's just a guy. But you're like, why are you here? Like there are many times where like he's just a MacGuffin. He's just a thing, a guy
Yeah.
that just goes around, and you kind of like the actor is doing a good job for the most part. This romance storyline, this forced love triangle between the three of them, is terrible because the third in this thing, this guy, has no actual character, no agency, no response to anything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just going back and forth between the two of them. It's weird what like it's weird that they thought this was a good idea.
Yeah. And not only is he under this creepy spell, that you also have on Kara's side because of how they just weirdly decided to make Helen Slater play her as if she's this big dumb child. That also makes it creepier. In like not Helen Slater's fault at all.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you have both sides of this relationship are both things that are just like that that is just no. There's you have one side, I basically a child on the maturity level, and the other side is like forced into it. It's like it just makes you so uncomfortable watching it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like you can't even now. There are some shots in the film you can feel maybe it's part of a fetish from one of the producers, but when it comes to some parts of this movie, you can just tell there's a lack of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
a lack of genuine thinking. Because even like the start of the film, like okay, when the script was being developed, they were supposed to reuse footage from the '78 movie of Krypton being blown up, and then we're going to show Argo City
Mm-hmm.
being put in a little bottle and being sent off in like a little force field thing as Krypton blows up. For some reason, the producers decided not to do that. But when Argo City is introduced, like after the opening credits, it's just a thing that they're just living in. But the people of Argo City, the Kryptonians, they're A, aware that Earth is real. They're aware that Clark is Superman, is living on Earth. They're aware that Kara is his cousin. They're far away into space, but there's a black hole, a portal that they have to go through to even go to Earth. Which I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. They only have one spaceship to get to Earth, and there's no actual intention. Some as the character of Zoltar, played by incredibly legendary actor Peter O'Toole, fucks around with the power source of Argo City. The damn thing just rolls out
Mm-hmm.
into the portal to Earth. And then Supergirl, Kara, you think, oh, she's like, oh, I'm gonna save my people and get that power source. I'm gonna go into the spaceship on purpose. You watch the film, it's a genuine fucking accident, and no one else can follow her because they only have one spaceship. Like
Mm-hmm.
the amount of stupidity to get to this point for the story to start. And this is the first like 10 minutes, and you're like, this is no. This is beyond stupid. It's incredibly insulting to everyone how
Mm-hmm.
stupid this is. And the actors are trying, they're selling it as best they can. But the more you think about it, and this is in the opening, the more you think about it, you're kind of like, this is ridiculous. I'd rather
Yeah.
you just
And
scrap this whole scene.
and then you have Superman. If he wants to change his clothes and is putting on his costume, he has to go to a phone booth. No, Kara though, just she can just show up in her costume now, and like she wants to look like a like regular human. She just goes and walks past a tree, and somehow she's in a schoolgirl outfit. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
God.
also another problem. That's also another problem is that like, because originally when Christopher Reeve was in the script, he was supposed to welcome her to Earth, and he was supposed to teach her how to be like, oh, this is what I do. I pretend to be Clark Kent. This is my disguise. You're gonna pretend to be Linda Lee, your fake name from the comics. But in the movie, because Clark isn't there to mentor her, she conveniently gets acting skills to pretend to be a human schoolgirl. She conveniently gets all these clothes. She conveniently enlists in the school by herself with no paperwork. And no one is asking her any real questions. And she's just committing to this bit all by herself. It'd be one thing,
Mhm.
I can't believe I'm saying this. It's fucking bizarre how they didn't think, well, hey, why don't we have one of these Kryptonians, Peter O'Toole, who plays Zoltar? What if we get him or someone else to guide her on Earth? And they were like, no, let's just have Kara wing her ass through this with no training, no skills, pure luck and happenstance, and it makes all the human characters more stupid. Because especially when the Principal Davers, is like, "Who are you? I don't know you," and she's like, "Oh, I'm Linda," and it's like, "Welcome to class." I'm like, no, even for the campiness of the Reeves universe, this makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah. one particular thing I have to talk about because it's like, because I think I think it is a weird thing with this film. So the sexuality, with it.
Yeah,
So we have the opening scene. I'm honestly not sure if or if Kara's even wearing anything under her almost see-through outfit. We have a shower scene. We have her trying on bras and putting panties into bras, and we have a dragon and container thing that grows boobs and like all this stuff. And it's just like it it's so weird. Okay, another, and then also like they particularly will have shots of Kara that very much are make the point of focus be at her boobs.
yeah,
It was particularly the one I noticed was in the Phantom Zone as they're trying to climb up that area, and it's like, and it. I'm not someone, and as you know, I'm not someone who dislikes sexuality in movies.
yeah.
Is but this is more this is something where it does feel like it's forced upon and that's where I'm like it gives me an ick, like comparing this to another other 80s superhero film, Howard the Duck, whereas with this it feels like Helen Slater is forced into these situations, and in Howard the Duck it feels like Leah Thompson genuinely enjoyed the situation and wasn't weirded out by anything. And versus this, I'm like, I don't know what the situation is, and it doesn't feel like a situation where Helen Slater would have had any control over it. So it makes it feel very icky. And also just like with the tone of this film, it's definitely a tone that's more geared towards children. So it's like unlike like Howard the Duck, where I'm like that feels like it's not a film that really is for adults. This it's like these are weird adult things that are put into this film that feels like it's for kids.
Well, I understand what you mean, and it's one of those things where, like you and I, we talked about this, and I think even most people, when it comes to sexual innuendo or sexual shots, if there's a point to it or if it fits with the character in the story, I think it's perfectly fine. Like for
Mhm.
example, in the same film with Selena played by Faye Dunaway, when she ties up the main guy love interest, there's kind of like a BDSM element to it, and it kind of
Yeah.
fits with Selena's character because she's a grown, mature, sexy woman, and this is her her prize or this guy she's trying to pursue,
Mhm.
right? There's a sexual innuendo that's associated with her nature as a supervillain. The sexual stuff with Kara in this movie, they do this innocent, almost like Little Mermaid quality with her. So when they do sexual stuff with her, it's not really Kara's choice. It's just the
Yeah.
film's camera focusing on her. And I think the only time it ever feels like it's her choice that is when she does that silly stuff with the bra. I was just kind of like, well, she's probably, I guess she doesn't know what a bra is. That's the
Mhm.
thing I think of. But there are also moments where, like, for example, Lucy Lane, she's in this film as like Kara's roommate, schoolmate, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you want to talk about Kara discovering sexuality, discovering her sexual state or whatever, you could have Lucy, a human being of Earth who's the same age as Kara, have them be platonic friends or maybe even more, have her help Kara learn some stuff about her. But Kara, they do this thing with Kara where she's so naive and sweet. She doesn't know what love or sex is, but she falls in love with this guy who's clearly just a, a wall of a guy that's
Mhm.
pining for her. And I'm like, no, this just doesn't
Yeah, it's
feel right.
just
There's no
yeah,
there's no
it
focus.
all just feels wrong, and like I've even said I wouldn't mind if the new Supergirl movie were R-rated. Because with that one, the feel of the of Supergirl in that one, she's a very irreverent person. Person, it would make sense. Versus in this, that's not at all how she's portrayed.
Well, yeah, that's also another problem is that like it's also it's one of those things where like the movie's like 2 hours, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
argue it could have been cut down by 30 minutes because there are many scenes that just drag and fucking drag and drag and drag. There was a moment where I was like, if this was an hour and 30 minutes, if you cut out this weird ass love story and just focus on Kara fighting Selena or fighting the villain. Because there's also another weird element that undercuts most of these things is you have Selena, who's a witch, who's arguing with this male witch or something, and then she's trying to apparently he's stronger than her. Then she tricks him into getting his wand. Then she tries to take over the world with the wand, and she has the Omega Hedron from Argo City powering it. And then conveniently, she teleports a mountain to the thing,
Yeah,
and
I
then
didn't really understand the mountain thing and like having this like mansion thing on top of that. I didn't know what was going on there.
yeah, but there's also another weird thing. Selena, throughout most of the film, she's at her house, and she throws a party with, I'm assuming, other witches.
Yeah, so
Then she fights Supergirl a few times. Then she tries to take over the world with the one thing, and some way somehow everyone in town knows who she is, and is saying, "Oh, Selena, we gotta stop her." And I'm like, "Do you even wait? Hold on, you never even met her. Wait, how do you know who she is?" And then I'm like, and then you're also kind of like, but wait a minute, Selena wants to create a mind control spell and control all of mankind to obey her, but it doesn't work. It clearly just doesn't work. It only works when convenient. But even then, you're also kind of like, what does she want? Like she wants to take over the world, but it's clearly not working. And I guess like eventually after a while, the more you think about it, you're kind of like, this is a like this doesn't work. Like
mhm.
even like some of the stuff uh with how Carr goes to the Phantom Zone and
Mhm.
Zoltar is there, and then he helps her escape, and then I think he dies or somewhere around there. And then
Yeah,
the only
like
time,
why did he why did like this sacrifice himself thing felt like it was for nothing?
yeah, it was also another thing of
Was
like
it it's just like feels guilty, so he's like, I choose to die. I'm like,
what
what?
it's also not even just that. You're also kind of like, what the fuck did I miss? Last time I saw you, you were in Argo City. Why are you in the Phantom Zone?
Well,
And I don't.
he said at the end of that beginning thing that in signing like I guess I gotta go to the Phantom Zone now or something because he feels that should be his punishment. I'm like, what? Okay,
It's also really convenient. Like
yeah.
this mentor character that Carr knew from Argo City found a way to go to the Phantom Zone off screen
Mm-hmm.
to help Carr escape the Phantom Zone. And
Yeah,
you're like, are you kidding me?
and
Like,
we have another thing that is convenience and also really stupid is how our possessed guy eyed fall in love with Kara. So it was literally just he has a spell on him to him that the next person he looks at he will fall in love with them. Looks at probably hundreds of people before Kara and doesn't fall in love with them.
yeah, and then it's just like and then also nothing with the script and the story. Like, okay, the only other actor from the other Christopher Reeve Superman films that show up in this is the guy who plays Jimmy Olsen. It's the same
Mm,
Jimmy, same actor. Um, he knows Clark Kent, Superman. And now, obviously, in this movie, they explain on the radio, oh, Superman's off in space on a peacekeeping mission. Okay. Now, Lucy Lane, Lois Lane's sister, is like, oh, I know Clark Kent. He works with my sister at Daily Planet. I also know Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen, when he finds out about Kara and her human name of Linda Lee, he's kind of like, huh, I didn't know Clark had a cousin named Linda. He never talked about it. Him being Jimmy Olsen and her being Lucy Lane, Lois's sister from the comics, there is no plot reason for it. It does. There's nothing. Nothing actually like nothing comes of anything from that relationship. And then of course they find out that Kara is Supergirl, and they promise to keep her identity a secret. And I'm thinking
yeah,
to myself,
like
wait a minute, wait a minute.
they don't even want the world to know that Supergirl exists. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
So stupid.
it's also not even just that. I'm also thinking to myself, so Jimmy and Lucy now know Clark Kent and Superman, and this never comes up. Because in the Reeves universe, Jimmy Olsen doesn't never finds out Clark's Superman in the other films. Lucy Lane, um, she's not in the other films. So I'm thinking to myself, so Jimmy found out that Superman is Clark Kent by accident through Kara's existence, and it just doesn't matter. It's one of those things where as a spinoff of the Superman films, as it's not even it's not it's it's just a shame because I know this all kinds of piss off Christopher Reeve, and he didn't want to come back ever again after Superman 3, and then of course he did Superman 4: The Quest for Peace a few years afterwards. He just wanted some creative involvement in the story. This movie, the second Christopher Reeve said no to coming back to play Superman, they should have recast because there are so many holes, and you can feel it destroying the script, destroying the story, and so many moments just doesn't make sense. It just really doesn't. And with Jimmy Olsen, the fact that I think he's only really important in three scenes. One of them as a hostage, and that's it. And then with Lucy, I'm like, oh, this could be really interesting. Lucy Lane, Lois's actual sister in the comics, she's a very underrated character. She only really gets much attention writing wise in the TV shows over the years. Lucy doesn't do anything except for maybe I guess investigate Supergirl and Selena, but that's it. There's nothing of importance that she does.
Now, what other I want to talk about because I'm because I don't know exactly what the film wants us to think with. So during the shower scene, we have these two girls who are trying to as I guess a prank or something.
Oh no, yeah, sorry.
So they are going to turn up the water, make it so it's so hot it burns off the skin of the rest of the people. Now, how so? Obviously, that is insane to do as a prank. But then, as we see afterwards, or as they run out of there, it gives off the vibe that that this was not just some random thing. It kind of seemed like they were getting back at these people who are their bullies, and but it's we never follow up on anything of that.
What that has to do with the previous scene, because remember they're playing sports, and Kara as Linda wins the match, and that's when, being sore losers, they want to prank the team and Kara for helping them because she's the new girl. So on day one, after meeting this new girl at school, these two girls who lost the thing, wanted to prank all of them in the shower. That's basically it. It's the same girls on the field who lost the game.
It's just the way it's such a weird framing because it does at first you feel like they're the bad guys for trying to do this, but then as they're leaving, it really gives off the vibe of there being more to it, and it being maybe the rest of the girls in the shower do kind of deserve or whatever's coming to them. I'm I don't know.
No. The way I took it is they just won a game, and these two girls just couldn't get over the fact that they lost, and they wanted to prank They wanted to prank Kara, but for some reason they want to take out on the entire team. Because they literally only show up to play a team, be mean to Kara, have Kara wins because they find out she has powers at one point when they throw the ball at her and the thing breaks against her skin. And they're like, oh, what the hell is she? She's a freak. And then all of a sudden later, it doesn't even make it more okay, them trying to do a prank to retaliate against their sports rivals or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's a school or college thing to do. Fine. But it also doesn't make sense because I'm like, wait a minute. You saw this new girl, be invincible when you threw a ball at her and the damn ball exploded. Why would you mess with her? Mm-hmm. Regardless of how you feel about her, why would you mess with her?
It's all so stupid. We have this. Have before the guy falls in love with Kara, he's just walking around town and there's a bulldozer chasing him, and it takes so long before or Supergirl comes to help the situation. It's
Yeah.
so weird how long it takes.
It's like
To
a
like
it's also like a Final Destination sequence too. It just keeps going and going for some reason, and then obviously no one dies because Supergirl comes and saves the day. But there's a
well,
weird moment of her just looking at everything.
to be honest, I don't know if nobody dies. It's like as we talked about last night. I There was one time where a the bulldozer went into a building and you saw there was right in front of that window a woman on the other side of the glass as and she and it definitely looked like she got knocked over by the bulldozer or really brutally. I'm like, I don't know if that person's still alive. Like it's crazy. That scene. No, and then we have like Lucy gets into the bulldozer to try and stop it, and it somehow gets knocked out while in there. And then you have like have Selena and her sidekick who really doesn't do anything in the film other than just talk. Uh, um, like they're watching this happen and happen on this magic screen thing, and her sidekick's like, "Oh, I know him." I'm like, "Well, duh, you guys put this spell on him. Of course, you know him." This,
No, again, there's also another thing that's also like really bad throughout the film is the constant misediting. Like the amount of times you can tell someone says a line of dialogue, and you're like, wait a minute, that this answer you're saying needed to happen like 2 minutes ago, or like the amount of times you can tell the actors their responses are being misplaced out of order. And then when it comes to that female sidekick to Selena, it's supposed to be a female version of Otis, of Lex Luthor's henchman sidekick, who just who's comedic and talks back. Like it's because it's also another thing. In the Supergirl comics, in Superman pre-Crisis, Lex's sister Lena Luthor was a witch for like a bit, which even the Supergirl TV show referenced on CW. Supposedly, some people think Selena was supposed to be Lena, and then I think they just dropped it because they felt there were too many relatives. Like, oh, we got the cousin of Superman, we got the sister of Lois Lane, and then we have the sister of Lex Luthor. Like, they thought it would be too weird, which I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then when they created the original character of Selena, she acts like a female Lex occasionally. Then she's a witch,
mhm,
and it's just weird. And then
yeah.
it's just like it's one of those sad cases where you're like, there are good ideas in it, but they're not being presented the right way at all, and it's
Mhm.
just constantly falling over and over.
Yeah. So when we first see her, she gets the MacGuffin of the film, and it almost seems like it possesses her in that scene, and then after that, it doesn't seem like she's possessed anymore, and that she then immediately upon getting back to her home, she just happened to have a container that was the perfect size to put this thing in, and that starts growing, and it's just like there's just so many things where I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
The shortcuts in this is just bizarre. Because and with the Saw kinds, they produce a lot of good films and a lot of the stuff, and of course they have a reputation for being like assholes to work with. But with this era in their career, this is when they got really lazy as producers of like, oh, just do this, do this, do this. Don't explain it. You keep going forward, and you can just feel a constant sense of laziness. I think, where like, because even when Supergirl flies out the water. Did you notice something that was off when she flies out the water?
Um, no, I'm guessing it
Well,
was a backward shot.
well, it's like if you pause it, and this is also something that the film has been shit on for years, to make sure that Helen Slater was dry when she came out of the water. They had a cardboard cutout of Helen doing this,
Oh
and if
my
you pause the
god.
film, it's actually just cardboard. It's not even a person. It's not even projection. They just put a cardboard cutout of her underwater, and pulled it up, and they thought they could speed it to where no one would notice. But obviously over the years, people are like they pause and they're like, "That's a fucking cardboard cutout." Like,
But also in that first scene of her flying around, there is like as I mentioned last night, there's a moment where I saw the wire
yeah,
iron.
yeah.
Like they just did not think to put to remove that. That is, oh my god.
Especially when like the first Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, say what you will about some of the effects in that film. The tagline of the first Superman movie by 1978 was "You will believe a man can fly," and you could believe it because Chris is selling it. The wire work is great, and you don't see the wires in the first Superman movie at all. You don't see it. As the sequels went on, and as everything got more and more lazy behind the scenes, you could see the wires, and it became so obvious and terrible. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, Supergirl got affected by that in this film.
I said last night, the best scene in the film is her speech in the Phantom Zone to Peter O'Toole's character Zoltar, I think is his name. And it's like looking back, it's like why couldn't that personality have been a personality for the whole film? Like that, like that was actually good. The rest of the film's like, no, we got to make her big, dumb, stupid.
It's just one of those things where like it. I mean, obviously there's some misogyny involved, whether it be intentional and unintentional. You know what I mean? So like, because I do believe the director of this film, he said, "I want to." I said yes because I wanted the first female hero film. And I wanted to give something for the women. I believe him. Some of the other people involved, because there are many times where you watch the film and you're kind of like, I don't think you guys know what women want or what even uh Superman fans who like Kara want. Because like even because what's funny, the Supergirl book at the time was doing okay. There were some readers. Um, Seemingly no one at the time really watched this movie because other than the negative reviews, but like there were some people who were kind of like, yeah, this just doesn't feel right. Like, why are you doing a
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl movie without Clark Kent? And when people were watching that film for the first time, there was just a sense of like, yeah, this is a lazy rehash of what made the
Yeah.
first Christopher Reeve Superman movie so special, and it sucks because like you can see the potential for something great there. It's just not happening. It's not clicking in any direction it takes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I really, even though obviously most of why I didn't make like money was because it was bad. I really do think there is probably something there of like the fact that there is occult imagery, a Baphomet at statue in the film, that it makes me think with how big satanic panic was in the 80s that there was probably a lot of people who refused to let their children go see this.
Well, I mean that could be an element too. I remember back in the '80s, people were fine with supernatural stuff. It was in R-rated horror films, and a supposedly family-friendly film for young boys and girls. I don't know. Like, this is a weird thing where the rating of the tone of this film is all over the place. Some moments feel like it's you know like for a more darker film, and some moments feel like it's for a more lighter film.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're watching it all straight through, you're just kind of like, it's not for anyone. Like I know like two friends who like this film as a comedic campy masterpiece. And with me, I'm kind of like I'm fine with campiness. The stuff in this doesn't feel intentional camp. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be funny. It feels like it's funny by accident, but I'm not laughing. And like I'm not like for me, I'm frustrated because I can actually see the genuine potential in it, and it's not happening. It's not. It's like I wouldn't even say it's a train wreck. It's one of the trains didn't even leave the station. It's trying to leave. It's trying to start up,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. The I happily I do expect that the upcoming Supergirl film is going to be a lot better.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's going to it'll probably be we'll probably enjoy watching that a lot more. I I even though this film is not good, I do hope in the future some way somehow how Helen Slater gets a chance to play Supergirl again, and in something like I could honestly see a even more than and say with a character like Superman, and with Supergirl, I could see a film like Spider-Man No Way Home working where they bring different Supergirls together.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I'm kind of glad that even with this film being a black sheep amongst some bad DC films, I do like the fact that Helen Slater a got the chance to be on Smallville and to be on Supergirl, and
Mhm.
they clearly love her a lot. And she's one of those actresses I think so many people liked her, whether it be in comedy and drama, TV and film. And I'm glad she got the chance to play some more with the Plutonian family.
Yeah.
If they were to do an old woman Kara storyline with her or something in a TV show or movie, I would be down for that because
Oh yeah.
she deserved a lot better, I think. And you could tell she's very sincere. Like even in this film, when she's doing very ridiculous things, or even when she's delivering a great performance, but the dialogue is terrible, she is committing all the way. Like so many people were like, she's like Christopher Reeve. She has that magic of
Oh yeah.
caring about the story, even when the story doesn't make sense. And I do think later on, like in the last few years, they've given Helen some decent respect.
Yeah.
Um, I do think they can give her more respect, regardless of the
Mhm.
film being like this.
Oh yeah, I do think that that it would work really well a like multiversal film. Helen Slater, Benoist, and the new Supergirl all together. Or you could probably have Sasha Cal in there as well, but somehow, but like probably for her it would be more like a cameo than actually having her be a main one of them. And but I do think something like that could work really well, and I think people would really enjoy that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like I'm so shocked it didn't happen in the Melissa Benoist Supergirl show, given all the crazy cameos and stuff they
Oh
did with
yeah,
returning actors.
yeah, definitely. Trying to think what else is there, but about this film that we should talk about. Yeah, one and weird little thing. So very clearly throughout the film, Nigel is not friends with a Supergirl, but weirdly, a Selena acted as if he's one of her friends when he had her in a cage um with
With Jimmy and Lucy.
Jimmy and Lucy.
Mhm.
It's like that definitely feels like it was another thing that was mixed with another draft of the film.
And also the fact that all of a sudden he explains some stuff to Kara and he tells her, "Oh,
Yeah.
you gotta do this to defeat Selena." And I'm like, hold up, okay, Dwight wanting to help because he hates Selena, I can buy. Kara listening to him like that, not even taking time to question it, is kind of a problem. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, she's
Hmm.
acting as if she knows him, and I don't think she does. But okay, because it's one of those moments you can feel the script, you can feel the movie just fast forwarding the climax, they're trying to get it over with, and you're like, oh come on, really? You drag around so many pointless scenes, but the
Yeah.
climax of the film you're rushing.
Hmm. And it takes until that final battle for us to really even actually see Kara use her powers to do any actually real fighting. And it's like, well, oh my god. Like I think that's a big part of why the film drags so much is you don't see her use her powers really other than just flying for most of the film.
Yeah, yeah. It's just also like there's a lot of bizarreness that keeps happening over and over, and the only explanation you could come up with is either bad editing, deleted scenes, something that wasn't shot, or you just like they just didn't think, like they
Mhm.
really didn't think.
Oh yeah. When you've seen like in a superhero film as bad as this is, it really puts into perspective I feel like whenever you see people act like superhero films we get these days are the worst. It's like you're you're in a gold mine of superhero films and shows now versus there was a time when it was a lot more rare to get a decent superhero thing.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things for like because you know me, the superhero genre is my number one favorite genre. Based off how someone talks about current superhero movie or show, like if they're over dramatic and they're like, "Oh, so and so is the worst superhero show or movie of all time," I'm like, incorrect. You feel it's the worst, but I know it's incorrect because I in the back of my head, someone who has seen the worst and you haven't, I know you're wrong, and I can prove you're wrong. Like I understand you feel disappointed, you feel upset, but no, like trust me, there are several bad superhero movies and superhero shows that just don't get watched at all and is forgotten by pop culture. But a mediocre superhero film that's just okay or has issues, they'll be like, oh, that one's worse. And I'm like, hold up, nope. If you're gonna compare these films, if you're gonna make a statement like this is the number one worst, do your research and watch more than one. What like you know what I mean? That's the problem I have. Is it's kind of the tourist mentality, I think, of like, I had a bad experience with hotel. I decided this hotel is the worst. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah,
nope, because
like
you don't know you don't even see the other hotels. You don't even see the other actual terrible hotels
yeah,
right over
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's funny to me, like there'll be pretentious people who will be like, oh, you enjoy this thing, that must mean that you don't watch enough films. Versus I'm like the opposite. I'm like, you think this thing is the worst? That's where you have not watched enough. Because I'm like, I there is so much worse than this. It's like any superhero thing that is popular, or it's very unlikely for it to be the worst thing ever, or if you have seen everything. And it's so clear to me whenever I hear that I'm like, you have not watched a lot.
Yeah. No, that's the problem I have with whenever people talk about superhero stuff or comic book stuff, uh like there are many times where depending on what they're saying, what they're trying to do, I'm like, if you're gonna play do an ultimatum like that, uh, say your opinion like it's a fact and talk about saying I declare that this one's the worst. I'm like, hold up, you gotta compare it. I do this thing that no one really does is I've seen many films ranging in different quality. Good, bad, great, okay, whatever. You have to compare things if you want to decide if you want to rank your feelings, so to speak, or you want to recommend a piece of art to your friend or stranger or whatever. When it comes to the bad superhero films, I'm like, there's a wave. You know what I mean? You can clearly tell when something's better than the other. Like you brought up Howard the Duck. With Howard the Duck, while that film frustrates me, I argue that makes more logical sense than Supergirl,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Or just
there's whether you enjoy that film or
yeah,
not, it's not like chock full of plot holes. This is chock full of plot holes.
yeah, right, yeah,
I personally really enjoy Oi Howard the Duck. I'm not gonna say it is objectively the best film ever. I just really enjoy it. But I'm also like people who act like it's the worst thing ever. I'm like, there is so much worse out there, and I'm like, I, I don't want to invalidate people's feelings, but I'm like, but at the same time, I'm just like, you've clearly not watched a lot if you believe that that's the worst.
yeah, yeah. And with Supergirl, it's one of those things for like it's kind of like a forgotten bad movie. I think you know like how some bad movies they become so infamous, people know about them. They watch them,
Mm-hmm.
they do roast parties, whatever. With this doesn't really get that much attention. I guess because so many people are
Yeah.
just kind of like it's just more confusing than anything. So I don't recommend it to someone who enjoys bad movies because I think they will just get confused. Honestly, if you want to watch this film, watch it with a friend or watch it high. I think you'd be better if you watch it high or drunk.
Probably. As I said last night, our friend Kira, yeah, I think it would be absolutely hilarious watching this film with her. Because I just know that she's gonna have all the same freakouts that I had.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those films where like you're like, hold on, no, no. Even by Superman movie rules, this makes no sense.
Oh man, and all and as I've mentioned in the past, I have like a plan to in the future make a YouTube series where I try to find the good in bad films. Because I do believe that most people are overly critical about things these days. But with this film, it definitely would be hard. I think really the only good I would be able to say is that one scene in the Phantom Zone own of her having that speech. Like
Yeah,
that's really the only thing where I'll be like, yeah, that's a really good scene.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's sad because you can feel like there's a lot of great acting in this too. Even like when it's like really over the top or comedic or whatever. I feel like the everyone in the cast committee, it's just the story is not right in any form, and it shows too often.
So, well, I think that's about everything to talk about with this film. We've destroyed it enough. Any final words you'd like to say before I end this off?
It's this is still the first female-led comic book movie. Obviously, for several historical reasons, it's important. Is this the first good female comic book movie? No, and it's a fascinating, misedited, underwritten film
Mhm.
with good visuals for the most part, some good acting. And if you're a hardcore Superman fan and you're a big fan of the Superman family and you want to check it out, I for your for fans' sake, watch it.
Mhm.
If you're morbidly curious and you want to watch a fun bad movie, um, just watch this with a friend if you're bored, and if not, just turn
Yeah.
it off and head out.
Yeah, I don't like if I wasn't watching with you and I wasn't watching for a podcast, I don't know if I would have gotten through that film.
Yeah,
To be honest, it's really hard for me to turn off a film once I've started. But this film, I think I might have. Yeah. All right. So, uh, thank you everyone for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode, so please let me know. If you'd like to listen more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.